Hello, my name is Pastor Julianne Smeck. I serve Hope Lutheran Church in Columbus, Ohio. Welcome to Beauty in the Dust, Lenten Reflections on Ordinary Things. This is the devotion for April 3rd, Holy Saturday. And the theme for today is stones. I'll be reading from Mark 15, verses 42 through 47, and I'll be reading in today's English version. It was toward evening when Joseph of Arimathea arrived. He was a respected member of the council who was waiting for the coming of the kingdom of God. It was preparation day, that is, the day before the Sabbath. So Joseph went boldly into the presence of Pilate and asked him for the body of Jesus. Pilate was surprised to hear that Jesus was already dead. He called the army officer and asked him if Jesus had been dead a long time. After hearing the officer's report, Pilate told Joseph he could have the body. Joseph bought a linen sheet, took the body down, wrapped it in the sheet, and placed it in a tomb which had been dug out of solid rock. Then he rolled a large stone across the entrance to the tomb. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Joseph, were watching and saw the place the body of Jesus was laid. The Gospel of the Lord. I really love the ordinary things that are part of today's reflection. I love stones. I actually have quite a few around the house because when I go on a walk, I like to find stones. And if they're particularly interesting or just capture my imagination, they might make it into my pocket and I might take them home. But when I heard about this particular theme, what I thought about was standing stone. In Lancaster, Ohio, I grew up, not in Lancaster, but I grew up attending St. Peter's Lutheran Church, which is in Lancaster. And every Sunday, when my family would drive to church, we would go by the fairgrounds, which means that we go by Mount Pleasant. It's this 250-foot rock just sitting there. It was always interesting to be able to climb up climb the path and go to the summit of the rock, because then you could look out over the city of Lancaster, and it was always, fun to find the steeple to St. Peter's Lutheran Church. Native Americans called Mount Pleasant Standing Stone, and I think recognized the holiness of the space perhaps better than those who named it Mount Pleasant. But though that's what came to mind when I heard about the theme of stones, it just didn't feel quite right, because one of the things about that standing stone is you're not going to move it. No one's going to move it. So, as I continued to ponder this theme, I went to a nearby metro park that they have a small lake in the middle of it. I wanted to find some stones, that I could use as an object lesson for this devotion, that I could hold in my hand and just present to you. I just couldn't find any at this particular place. The ones that I found were either little pebbles or like these great big rocks, bigger than the width of my arms, and definitely bigger than I could pick up. In addition, the big rocks were really stuck in the mud. So even if it would have been possible, if it would have been sitting on asphalt and would have been easily accessible, maybe many hands could have budged it, but when it's stuck in the mud, it would take some sort of powerful piece of equipment to budge it then. Anyway, I've done a lot of talking about the ordinary thing and not a lot about the text. Except there's one last thing about the stones, that all the stones that I mentioned can cause problems. Even the little ones. You might think, oh, well, they're not very threatening. They're just tiny. We can just toss them out of the way. But you get one of those in your shoe, if you don't stop and get it out, it's going to do more than leave a mark. It's going to leave a wound, which could become a big problem. The stone's bigger than one person could lift, even if not stuck in the mud. That could be a metaphor for many of the things that we face. Problems we can't get our arms around. Weights we cannot carry. And then you factor in the mud. It's a real problem to try and dislodge something like that. Still, neither of those really connect with the stone mentioned in this reading from Mark. I mean, maybe standing stone, because clearly the women thought that the stone they were going to have to deal with was immovable. It was large. Yes, Joseph was able to roll it into place, but they were not certain that they would be able to roll it away, even with many hands. Of course, they didn't need to. It would turn out that the stone across the tomb of Jesus would have already been rolled away. It would have been rolled away by the power of Jesus' new life. That stone couldn't have held Jesus in the tomb, even if it wanted to. And I suspect that it did not want to. I suspect that rather than feeling vanquished, that stone itself might have felt the joy. I know this is personification, but just imagine with me that the stone itself felt the joy and the glory of the risen Lord. Maybe it rolled a few extra feet of its own volition, just to join in. So too, the stones which confront us in our everyday, ordinary lives, whatever the challenge, whatever irritation or large weight, it doesn't matter the size. The size does not matter. Jesus rolls those stones away too. You are hearing this on Holy Saturday. In the story that we are telling in these days, the stone won't be rolled away until tomorrow morning, but the stones in our lives, the stones in our lives, they don't stand a chance in front of Jesus. Jesus can move those stones too.